Are you struggling to stick to a budget and every month you think, oh my God, money is just flying out the window. Where does it all go? The answer is values-based budgeting. Hey y'all, I'm Kara Perez, founder of Bravely Go, and I love values-based budgeting. I've been using values-based budgeting myself for the last 5 years, and it's allowed me to do some pretty incredible things with my life and my money. Over the last 4 years alone, I've been able to consistently take 2 months off of work each year. I've invested over $100,000 and I've saved over $75,000 in cash. And it's all due to values-based budgeting. There are so many types of budgeting and budgeting apps out there. I know it feels really overwhelming. I mean, there's You Need a Budget, there's Mint, there's zero-based budgeting. It just goes on and on and on. I personally think that values-based budgeting is the superior budgeting strategy out there because it's hyper-personalized and it is rooted in your personal values. Y'all just buckle up now because I'm gonna say personal values a lot in this video. They're just gonna keep on coming. Values-based budgeting is spending, saving, and investing your money according to your personal values. That's it. It's really simple. It also sounds a little bit vague, so let me give you an example. A lot of the budgeting gurus and budgeting styles out there will tell you to go by a numbers-based budget for each category in your life. So you've got, rent and healthcare and childcare and eating out and clothing and hobbies and all of that stuff. And they'll say, find a number that works, stick it in there. Values-based budgeting says, hey, instead of just looking at the numbers of our lives, let's look at the ways we like to spend time. Let's look at the values and the morals that we have and incorporate that into our budgets. If you're that foodie who's out every single weekend, having $30 per weekend to spend on food is not going to work for you. You're going to continuously go over that budget because you find joy in eating. You find joy in hanging out with your friends at a restaurant. You find joy in taking a selfie in the bathroom with the flamingo wallpaper. Following values-based budgeting, you can give yourself $400, $800, whatever amount of money each month for going out. And then you would cut back in other areas of your life that you don't care about as much. You can give yourself a $25 clothing budget, for example, because you're happy to host clothing swaps with your friends and get new to you clothes for free. And then instead of spending that money on clothes, redirect that money towards restaurants. I say this a lot, but money is endlessly creative, and values-based budgeting is a perfect example of this. It allows you to build a budget that is flexible month to month and that works with the type of person you are, not just the type of income you have. I'm a big believer that the more effort you put in up front in creating your budget, the more thought you put into it, the easier it will be to stick to your budget long term. This is the number one problem that people have with budgeting. It's the consistency. It's doing it every single month for however long you need or want to budget. I mean, for me, it's the rest of my life. And so it's really important that I have a budget that I feel really good about, I feel excited about, and that I can customize to whatever is going on in my life at that moment. So the setup does take a little bit of a time investment, but I don't want you to be intimidated or annoyed at that because remember, this is going to work for you long term. And I've made it super duper easy for you to get started with your values-based budgeting with our values-based budgeting workbook. You can find that in the description below. The workbook has 8 chapters and 2 spreadsheets already pre-made for you, including a 31-day spending tracker and kind of a first glance template for you to start building out your own budget. So all of the hard work has already been done and you just get to go in and tweak it. The 8 chapters include a 31-day spending tracker to get a look at where you are financially right now, defining what financial security means to you, identifying your financial values, setting up and managing your budget, getting financially organized with your bank accounts, your savings accounts, and your investments, saving your money, and ways to hold yourself accountable long term. And this is how I would suggest that anyone set up a budget, even if you don't get our workbook. To have an effective values-based budget, you need to know what your values are and what's important to you to spend money on and areas that are not so important that you can pull back in. And more than that, it's important that you understand what your long-term financial goals are. Are you saving for a house? Do you want to reach financial independence at 45? Are you cool with working until you're 60? All of these require different financial plans and different financial accounts. Plus, it's also really important that we all have financial challenges. That's just the truth of everyone's lives, right? Like, I have different financial challenges than you, but we probably have some of the same ones, right? A financial challenge can be anything from, I always overspend in this category and I want to stop that, to I need to earn more money overall in order to reach my goals. It's really important to distinguish your financial values from your financial expressions. And stick with me for a second on this one. I work with people one-on-one as a money coach, and one of the things that I see over and over again in most people's budget is that they are overspending on eating out. Now, you'll notice my sneaky little air quotes, because I don't want you to hear me say that and get the idea that I think that eating out or going to restaurants is always bad and you should cut it from your budget. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's interesting because most people have a value that is expressed by eating out. The value is, I enjoy spending time with friends and family. The financial expression is, so we go to restaurants to spend time together and I spend money at restaurants. Now, if you're the foodie that I talked about earlier in this video, that might be a fantastic way for you to spend money. And you're like, I'm actually super duper into this. I don't want to pull back on the financial expression of this value. I'm really good here. And that's perfect. That's great. Live your best foodie life. You don't need to pull back on food. You'll pull back in another area, or you will focus on earning more money in order to be able to hit other financial goals like your savings and investment goals. However, you might be someone that's like, actually, you know what? I love seeing my friends and family, but this $400 a month eating out bill is killing me, and I actually don't love it as much as I love other things. In that case, we need to understand that your value, spending time with friends and family, is not currently being best served by your financial expression, and we need a new financial expression. And sometimes we might have two different values that are currently in conflict. So yes, you have the value of, I want to see friends and family, but you also have the value of, I want to increase my savings rate so I can build financial security for myself. And this constantly going out to eat is in conflict with my savings value. This is why I love values-based budgeting, because if this is the case for you, the customization that values-based budgeting allows you to do means you can change this up real quick. You can create a budget that pulls back on the eating out, and you can have a conversation with your friends and family that says, hey, I want to keep seeing you, but instead of going out to eat, let's go for a walk. You come over for game night. And so that way the financial expression changes and you are no longer spending that $60, $80 Friday night to see your friends. Instead, you're spending $20 on a bottle of wine. They're coming over to your house. You're playing Settlers of Catan. It's amazing. And you are saving $60 to hit that other value of building financial security. Now, you'll notice that changing your lifestyle often requires talking to people in your life. I don't want you to just start saying, no, I'm not going to go out to eat, or no, I don't want to go on that trip with you, because that's going to come across to your friends and family like you all of a sudden don't like them. It's really important that if you do find areas in your lifestyle and in your values that you do want to change, that you communicate that with people, that you say, hey, I'm really working on paying down some debt right now, so I can't go out to eat as often. Can we do this other thing instead? That lets the people that you love and care about and want to see know, hey, she still wants to see me, we're still pals, we're just going to do this other hang instead. Let's talk a little bit about customizing, because something that I also see a lot for people who are just starting to budget or who are having trouble budgeting is that they set a budget in January, and then by May, the budget isn't working for them anymore. So instead of just changing it and customizing it, they throw their hands up and say, budgeting doesn't work. But that's not true. Budgeting does work. I'll use myself as an example here. From January to May, I really don't spend that much money. I love winter and I love being cozy. I'm very into my house in the winter months. And I'm like, yes, a cup of tea and staring out the window while my throw blanket is over my shoulder. Like, I'm living my best, like that girl lifestyle right now. And so I'm not going out to eat a lot. I'm staying home, and that's when I do most of my saving for the year. I front load my savings. So my January to May budget looks very different from my June, July, August budget, because for me, summertime, it's my time to travel. It's my time to see friends. I'm going over to friends' pool parties, and I'm bringing watermelon and vodka and all sorts of fabulous things. And so I'm spending way more money. So my January budget looks nothing like my July budget. And that's okay. And this is what values-based budgeting offers us. It offers this hyper customization for different seasons of our life, like literally seasons of the year or different times of our lives. Like I'm in my mid-30s. I have a lot of friends getting married and a lot of friends having babies. So I am also budgeting for a lot of weddings and gifts right now. If you're younger, you're 22, maybe none of your friends are getting married, but they are going to Coachella every year, and that's what you're budgeting for. Totally fine if your budget doesn't look exactly the same month to month or year to year. Some months you're gonna have weddings. Some months it's gonna be your birthday and you wanna go hard on it. Some months you're gonna take that girls trip, and some months you're gonna be like, I'm a hermit in my house and I'm not doing anything, and it's great. Our workbook really does help you take all of this into account and build a budget that, yes, can take a year into consideration, but that you can also tweak easily month to month. What are the best tools for values-based budgeting? I personally have found that the spreadsheet cannot be beat when it comes to values-based budgeting. I do use Mint myself in conjunction with my spreadsheets, but it's really more of a catch-all so that I only have to log into one place and I can see my investments and my credit card and my bank account as opposed to having to log into all three separately. I don't really use the budgeting features in Mint. I do all my budgeting in a spreadsheet. And I just think that that's the best for values-based budgeting, especially if you are trying to do this kind of monthly customization. And I don't want you to be intimidated by spreadsheets. They can be super, super simple. Here is a snapshot of my budget. So you can see I've got my overall monthly costs and then I'm tracking it week by week. So can be very, very simple. You don't need to have a degree in Excel to make this work for you. What's the downside of values-based budgeting? What are the challenges with it? I would honestly just say that the setup and the customization is kind of the first and really only challenge. It does take a little bit of time, and I don't just mean like an hour to sit down and do this. It does take about a month or 2 months to really find the groove with your values-based budgeting. Determining what your financial values are and then determining how you want to express those financially, that's really where the real work is. And that's gonna take, like I said, a month or two to kind of figure out, gain clarity on, and also figure out how to work into your life. Like I said earlier, you need to have these conversations with people if you're going to be changing habits, but you also have to have conversations with yourself around what you are willing and capable of changing right now. And I know a lot of people in my field will tell you you only need 30 minutes to make a budget once, and then you're going to be good to go for the rest of your life. Normally the people saying something like that are trying to sell you something, they're trying to sell you kind of like a quick fix to a long-term thing. And I have find that those have really high failure rates. I don't want to lie to you, values-based budgeting is going to be a time investment. But like I said at the start of this video, it has changed my life so deeply, and it has changed a lot of other people's lives so deeply. And it really is something that you can have this long-term success with. And I really want that for you. So that is my ode to values-based budgeting. It really has been such a game changer for me in my life. It's something that I really stand by and I think is the best way to do your budgeting. I rank it 10 out of 10, would do again. So let me know in the comments how values-based budgeting has gone for you, or if you have any questions as you're just getting started. Like I said, I will link our budget workbook and the spreadsheets in the description as well, along with a few articles that I've written about how to do values-based budgeting so that you really have a lot of guidance on it.